Hi everyone, welcome back to Poetology. This is going to be a celebratory video because today is National Poetry Day in the UK, but it's also the 4th anniversary of Poetology this month. And actually I thought it had only been 3 years, but when I checked, my first video was uploaded on the 20th of October 2020. And I will talk about that in more detail in a little bit. On top of this, I have recently reached 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much if you are one of my subscribers, and even if you're just watching. And so I thought I would make a different video for once and answer any questions that you have sent me. So today will be a Q&A, and to make it more like a celebration, I got myself some cream tea, if you can believe it. I ordered a box from the Goodness Project to celebrate this anniversary. It's the first time I'm marking something like this. Usually I kind of ignore it, but I thought there were so many things coming together this month that it was worth making a special video and also talking a bit more personally about the channel. So I've got these amazing scones, as well as a cup of tea. And I encourage you to do the same. Brew yourself a cuppa or grab something to eat and enjoy this little conversation. This is the very first time, by the way, that I've got some vegan clotted cream. It's really thick and very delicious. I think it's made mostly from shea butter. It doesn't taste like the dairy version at all, but it doesn't have a coconut taste either, which I wouldn't enjoy. And it's very rich and satisfying. So the first question is, why did you start your channel? If you come back to my very first video, I actually answered that question because that video was a YouTube newbie tag. There were lots of tags going around on YouTube at the time. It looks like this trend isn't so much around anymore. And I talked about why I was doing that. I started the channel in 2020, so I wasn't working much. I had finished my PhD and there weren't a lot of things going on at that time. So I'd been meaning to start a channel for some time by then, at least a couple of years, if not more. And suddenly it felt like, okay, this is the time when I can actually do it. I wanted to have a place where I can talk about poetry because my PhD wasn't really about poetry, or not mainly about that. And I wanted to go more in depth into both reading and writing poetry, as well as making connections with other poets and having conversations with them. So this channel was a way of sharing what I've been reading, things I've been thinking about, and I also integrated my interest in journaling and collage. The second question, which is related to this one, is what do I get from being on YouTube? And what I get is mostly a sense of purpose because I have something concrete to do regularly, something that is a smaller, tangible achievement, unlike writing projects, which takes a lot longer. It also gives me a sense of connection, especially when you engage with my videos and post comments. That's really important to me. It means a lot, and it gives me that sense that I'm doing it for a reason. But it's also a way of networking because I do interviews fairly regularly. In fact, the next video will be an interview. That enables me to get in touch with other poets and talk about their work and maintain or create new connections with those people, as well as help promote their work. And for me, this is also a way of giving back because I've had the privilege of an education that went all the way to PhD level. I'm also an avid reader, so I do spend a lot of time reading, and that's not something everyone can do to the same extent. And YouTube seems to be a good way of sharing value with other people and giving really broad access to some of the things I've been reading and my thoughts about them. Now, excuse me as I try the orange jam. Question 3 is, did you study poetry, and is that important for writing poetry? No, I didn't study poetry directly, although I studied English literature. I have studied poetry as part of that, but I've never been part of a creative writing program. Now, since getting into poetry, I have taken courses, and I have a video that talks about that too. And these classes, especially with the poetry school, have been very helpful for, professionalizing, becoming a bit more adept, sharing with other people. I'm also part of a feedback group. There are different ways in which I have become better at writing poetry, even though that's not how I was trained. Is it important for writing poetry? I would encourage you to get in touch with other poets and find ways of exchanging your poetry with others. Even if it's just a couple of people who read your work and comment on it, that would be very helpful if those people are, qualified. I think the main aspect of learning to write poetry is probably to read as much poetry as you can, and this channel can definitely help you with that. And by reading as much and as broadly as possible, you just feed into your own writing in an indirect way. It's not the same as actually writing. Obviously, you need to write as well, but reading is a huge part of that. The next question was about journaling. Do you write journals for self-expression, or do you plan to use them for artistic projects? Mostly I write for self-expression. I just write for myself. It's a way for me to process my thinking and also to create firmer memories, because I tend to forget things quite easily, so I can always come back to the journals and see how things panned out at a certain time. That's probably why I don't share my journals online as much, because it's meant to be a private space, and if I don't maintain that, then my journaling is sort of pointless for the reasons that I'm using it, at least. This said, I have shared pages from my journal before. You can check my illustrated journals video, for example, or others from the journal playlist. I'd like to think that my journals are artistic, and I see them as such. It's just that I tend to keep them private. I'm not sure how to get around that, because I couldn't write in the same way if I knew other people were going to see them. And so that privacy is an important part of why I journal in the first place. And these are illustrated journals, so sometimes I will show a drawing to someone, but mostly these journals are just for myself. I am interested in poetic journals as well, and I would like at some point to have a project that is a poetic journal. I think that would be great, but it hasn't really come together yet. Question 5, why is poetry important? Okay, that's not an easy question to answer, and I'm not sure I can do it in a satisfying way just now, but I think that poetry conveys a specific way of paying attention that you cannot really translate into other forms. I love reading novels, for example. I read a lot of novels and find it very satisfying, and it brings me a lot, but in the poetry, the form is so condensed and so precise that each word has a lot of weight and meaning. And I also like the way that poetry can remain open-ended and not need to tie up all the loose ends in a way that is often necessary for novels, not always. You can stay away from a clear conclusion and leave things open-ended, and it produces a particular feeling in the reader that is very conducive to thought, a particular way of thinking. I'm not sure I can do a better job at describing this. It's difficult, but it's really interesting to think about it, so thank you for that question. The next question is very precise. It's, can you do more journaling videos? And I've often received this question as well as the same about collage. So actually, my most popular video is about collage books. It's by far the most popular. It's got 23,000 views at the moment, so much more than any other videos. And overall, I would say that my journaling and collage videos do better than the ones about poetry. While I'm sometimes tempted to think, okay then, let's do more collage and journaling and just focus on that for the channel, it's also important to me that poetology reflects what I'm genuinely interested in, because I'd like to be able to sustain this and keep my own enthusiasm for what I do with this channel. And this means doing quite a bit of poetry and also journaling and collage whenever the opportunity comes up. I just don't want it to become artificial, where I sort of force myself to come up with random projects just for a video. So at this point, that's what I would say. Yes, there will be more journaling videos, there will be more collage videos, but they are only one aspect of what I do with poetology. I do have a collage playlist as well, and you can have a look at that if you are into collage. The last question is, what kind of future do you imagine for the channel? And for me, at this point, I'm just really focused on growing the community little by little and building up from there. So I'm always thinking of new ideas for videos that I could do. You can also make suggestions in the comments below. If Poetology became much bigger, then I would probably want to do more things such as online courses, maybe an online community, things like that. But at this point, it's just a small channel and I like to just keep the simplicity of it and go on building as it is. I already offer creativity coaching. If you're interested in that, it's on my website. There are 3-month packages that you can get to do some coaching with me in any writing or art form that you are engaged in. But if the channel were bigger and I had more clients, then maybe I would also offer group options and things like that. So, you know, things could develop. Let's see. Anyway, if you are one of my subscribers, thanks so much for following me. I would love to hear from you in the comments below and to know what you enjoy in this channel and what you would like to see in the future. I will keep developing it as long as I can, and I look forward to seeing you again in many more videos. Bye!